I probably should watch the video that I took taking this thing apart. It would help. Alright, now we're going to put our main jet and jet needle back in. I think I went over this in the disassembly video that these B square gunsmithing tools, a little toolkit, is good to have. It certainly comes in handy putting all this stuff back together. These tools just fit a whole lot better than the stuff that you might have in your screwdriver drawer. You can actually pick the bit that fits the jet to a T. So, like I said before, I like to lubricate stuff. So, I've already blown that hole out, make sure there wasn't no debris in there. Just drop that in there, and sometimes it helps to, when you're putting something in like that, if you screw it backwards, as in you're trying to remove it, so in this case counterclockwise, until you feel that first thread fall right there, then it's immediately engaging thread. It might help you, might keep you from cross threading something. Alright, that does have a gasket on it, that little jet right there. We're just going to snug it up and back out. Okay, now we're going to put our needle in. We're going to back this off a little bit so we don't run up against that jet. So what you've got here is 3 pieces, 4 pieces if you count the gasket. You get this main body. This second piece is a packing nut, and then the T-handle, which actually is the needle itself. So we're going to tighten up that main body. That's a 1/2 inch with a gasket. Then we're going to run this packing nut and packing nut back out to the T-handle. Run the jet in till it stops. Back it off 1.5 turns. That's your starting point. And tighten the packing nut. You never know, when you crank this thing up, that might be where it needs to be. So just don't go crazy when you packing nut. It's just there to keep that needle from slipping out on you. That'll work. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and plug this hole. I know I'm doing some stuff out of order now, but like I said earlier, all this stuff got scrambled around anyway. And in the case of things like a plug, it just don't matter. We're just plugging a hole. Tighten that up. Oh, not with that we ain't. I'm gonna need something different for that. And I bet you thought I was gonna grab these, didn't you? I ain't gonna do it. Give me a second. All right. 7/16. All right. Got, let's see here. Let's drop in this jet here. That's your smallest of all the jets that came out of here. This is your smallest, tiniest one. We'll put a little lid there, and we're going to do that main nozzle next. So go ahead and set that there. We're going to change our bit to that one. Go ahead and run that in by my hand. Little bit, get it started, and there we go. Brass, it don't have to be awful tight. Okay, now this dude, that's your main, I don't know what you want to call this. It ain't a jet. Fluid nozzle, I'd look, but I don't know where that's at. It's all the main, you got main needle, main jet, and it's your main dude, whatever you can call it. Dude. Obviously, I'm not a mechanic. That feels pretty good. We'll leave that alone. Okay. Let's see. Idle goes right there. I put the idle screw in. This gets ran down all the way, back off one turn. Let's see here what I want to put in next. I caught a glimpse of this shaft right here. So it's in there now. Next thing we're going to do is put this choke shaft, choke plate back in. I think I mentioned this before. This is a poppet valve on here. It actually, if you left your choke engaged, it would still allow air to come through. The pressure would push it. See, it'll open up. Pretty slick. I don't know why you don't do that now. Cost too much money, I guess. So we're gonna set this dude down in here like so. Run that shaft in there, rotate it, let that choke plate fall back into place there. Get everything lined up and drop them screws in. Once you got your choke shaft and choke plate on, you need to install the screws here. If this is looking at the carburetor as it sits on the machine, basically. Screw goes at 12:30 and 6:30. The cable clamp goes about 12 o'clock. This gasket must go around this, I think it's the venturi. Ooh, that's tight. Slip it down one side and pull it down over the other without messing it up if you can. Just like so. Now you can put your float on. Okay. Now there's a measurement in the book where you actually measure the float to make sure it's in the right spot. I've never had a problem with floats being out of spec. I don't know. Maybe they're all out of spec and I just don't know what's good and what's right and what's wrong. But I'm gonna leave it alone. If it needs to be gone back into, I'll do it again. You gotta make sure that this gasket is centered and doesn't get pinched under the venturi. You'd think if the screw holes line up, you'd be good to go, wouldn't you? I just noticed this particular gasket may be wrong. I got an extra little tab right here. We're gonna try it out though. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? Remember, the Venturi is a pretty good fit in there. All right, let's put some screws in it. Well, we got sidetracked again. Visitors come in and had to stop what we're doing for a little while. But hey, we're in the home stretch here. After they left, I went ahead and modified this old bell crank. Or I should say, I modified the new bell crank to sort of match the old bell crank. And what I did was, you really can't match the old one because the old one is so worn out. Even its exterior profile is worn out. So we did about the best we could. It should be just fine. I drilled the hole the same size as the hole that was already in this same bell crank that was up here. Now, I don't know just yet if that's going to be the right diameter or not, but that's no big deal. So we just used some generic hardware to hold these things back to back. Drilled the hole and then put it on the bench grinder and kind of sized it down a little bit. Did that off camera to keep old Safety Sally happy. You know Safety Sally, the one that likes you to wear gloves while you're grinding and running a drill press so you can yank your fingers off. But we still got all our fingers. So, all right, set that aside. Let's put the throttle shaft on. Now, this is kind of a guessing game here because, let's see, can you see that stuff? Yeah. This is what come out of that opening right there in the throttle shaft. So what you've got here is a steel washer. It's pretty thick. And another steel washer and a piece of rubber. So what I ordered was everything that's supposed to go in that spot, and what I received was a rubber cup. That's actually a cup in there, and I'd call it a conical washer. It's actually dished. So now I've got to make a decision on what to put back in there, because if you add up all this stuff, it's way thicker than this stuff. So we may just play this by ear since we've kind of damaged some things here anyway. I really want to believe that the first thing I should do is use the parts they gave me. Put that new rubber cup in there. This conical washer. That may not fit anyway. Problem may solve itself here. Yeah, it's not going to go. No, it's probably not going because of the damage I caused earlier. So let's see if this big old, yeah, that'll go. And that steel dude right there will go. I wonder if that would do any good at all. The objective would be, I believe, to get all this shimmed out enough to where when I put this shaft in there and fasten the what do you call it? Anyway, the valve in there that would prevent my in and out movement. I mean, that seems like it would be the goal. Guys, I apologize. I went in and looked at the video and determined which way this valve needed to go in here, and then pretty quickly figured out that the new part is just different enough to where it's not going to work in this carburetor. It physically, without trimming, sanding and filing or something, it's not going to work. So I put the old part back in. Works great. Went in, dropped in, straight in, no problem. Took that one out, put this one back in, thinking maybe I was doing something wrong, and it just physically will not go. It's just a little bit too big. So if I put this in there, this engine's not going to run right. I can tell you. I don't even know that I can get it in there. See, it just doesn't fit. But we're gonna stick with the old stuff here. About ready to put this together. I'm gonna lube this shaft up with some grease. I may have to scrape that paint off a little bit. Let's see. I might can wiggle it on there. It'll wear itself off, I'm sure. I'll put a little dab of grease on there. Not because it needs lube. In the long run, it would be better without it. Probably. Once I get it on there, I'm going to tighten it up to a certain position anyway. The correct position for this bell crank on this shaft is when you're rotating this throttle shaft, the top of the bell crank needs to hit the 2 o'clock and the 10 o'clock position. Okay, so just divide it up. So 12, 11, 10, 12, 1, 2. So make sure the wag is even left and right, in other words. Hope you're catching that. I think we're pretty close right there. Hey, next step is to go put it on a machine, so let's get on over there. We got new gaskets. We're ready to roll. The gasket has to go on before that. You know, there's a reason why I say these things. You put everything in order. It didn't dawn on me that dadgum gasket needed to go on before the float.